Hey everybody, this is Perch. Uh, I got a couple. A couple of you, and this is always a case. I sometimes get like a barrage of emails, all kind of with the same subject, and it's always linked to, and I don't know where, like somewhere on TV Farms or on Twitter and YouTube videos or somewhere, somebody did some kind of video attacking a point on that I'm making, usually poorly. I mean, everybody's got an opinion, but a lot of these things become very misinformed, but that's fine. Whatever. And then people call me, they basically write me, text me other times, ask me to respond to it, but I have no idea what the original argument was. So I'm trying to like piece together what it is that people were pissed off about. In this case, I'm truly confused, and I want to believe this is just a couple nut jobs, not a big amount of you. So I realize I've prefaced this in a way now that sounds pretty harsh, probably. So some of you may not want to raise your hand and say, "That's me. I believe this." But if you do, just do. I promise I won't mock you too much. But it basically is this: the premise is, you know, um, Perch. As far as I can entertain, it's like Perch is always pushing the publishers, and everybody lists Marvel. It's like this. If there's one thing that's kind of cements DC as second, it's that whenever people make their case about comics or how they're changing or what publishers doing or whatever else, they always go with Marvel, and the DC's kind of an afterthought, which is like, I have to imagine the people at DC are like, hey, crap on us too. Why do you always just crap on Marvel? Are we good enough to crap on? I don't know. Anyway, uh, but the argument is that Perch is always giving commentary and advice on how Marvel should make money, and that's wrong because reasons. I don't. This is where people are asking me. It's like, why are you such an industry shill that you're trying to make Marvel money? Is kind of the question. You get this barrage of questions, and again, I'm ignoring the kind of argumentative aspect of that, but it raises a question because some of those are like, why should these companies, why should these companies be focused on just profit and not fan service or not giving the fans what they want? So use an example somebody used. It's like there was more money to be made, uh, keeping Peter Parker and Mary Jane separate. Like Paul, Mary Jane's boyfriend, husband, whatever, is massively successful, and he could support a spin-off title of his own. Oh wait, that's not true. None of that's true. But regardless, like the point is, fan service might say keep them married or get them married again, or restore the marriage. And business might say keep them separate. When financial analysis points to keep you separate and make more money. If that was the reality of the situation, then absolutely, hands down, 100%, you should keep them separated, despite what the fans want. But the funny thing is, generally the fans, and really I'm going to transition you from saying fans into customers. Customers buy your product. So if the customers are all shouting for something and you're not giving it to them, then you run the risk of some pretty big hubris, because you basically are saying, we're smarter than the customers who are giving us money, and we know that what we've done is ultimately going to make more money than what the customers are telling us they want. Which sometimes is absolutely true. It's just dangerous. I'll give an example where this is often true in wrestling. Certain characters who are heels, Roman Reigns being one of them, was largely rejected by the fans paying customers to the events, and they really wanted the belt to be off of him and for him to stop being pushed. And the owners of wrestling took a gamble by saying, no, we're going to actually keep pushing and push him harder and get this whole bloodline thing going. And we're confident that the fans will come around on this. And they did. That made a ton of money. The whole bloodline stuff was cash cow for the WWE. So therefore, it's smart that they did that. But it could have very easily been the fans just kept rejecting it, and the gate drops and they suffer. So companies have to take gambles in the interest of money. That's fine. I mean, not just fine. It's what must happen. And this gets to the disagreement. First of all, trying to get the major corporations to make money is the right thing to do. That's how they should be oriented. I mean, excuse me for kind of missing the plot here, but I thought one of the biggest problems that a lot of people were bitching about Marvel for was that they were making decisions that were anti-money, that they were like using the Spider-Man example again. I believe fully, and I think there's tons of data to support it, that restoring the marriage and doing a storyline around that and putting it all together financially is better for Marvel. I think it will, and again, I think there's ample evidence that's the case. I think there's ample evidence that rebooting your title all the time is short-term gain, long-term loss, and ultimately eroding the business. I talk about that a lot too. Well, at the end of the day, I can't get mad at Marvel or Disney or whoever else trying to make money. It is a make money or die business. I think the parts where I've gotten most frustrated at with Marvel or with some of the big companies is when they take active steps to do the opposite of what's financially smart, or they basically let use some of the money to do things that are anti-creator, like, hey, we're going to ignore some of the classic creators of the past. We're going to slow roll royalties. We're going to put people on like 2 issues, but give them no financial security for more. Like that, like those are all the steps that I think are bad human being, bad integrity moves, and ultimately bad business. Because if you pollute your business with a bunch of stuff that's anti people, then people want to stop working for you. You get a lesser product. The passion will be gone. The care will be gone. All that kind of stuff. I think you have to have a good balance between caring about the people, trying to do things that fit and match, and and making money. At the end of the day, it is a business. But I'm confused by the latest moves, and really in the last 6 months or so, it feels like a lot of the anti woke group has shifted into some very weird places. Bad that Rogue is running around in a torn up costume because apparently that's grooming. Maybe, I guess. Um, Bad that companies are trying to make money. Like, what has happened here? To me, the part about making money and the kind of capitalist aspect of comics, the nice part about it, the C part, the Jim Shooter has said stuff like this as well. Um, it it it's a good baseline. It's a good barometer. It's a good place to start from because it actually cleans up what could be a lot of subjective nonsense. It's if at the end of the day you have lots of opinions, here's what characters should do, not do. We should include these social messages or not include these social messages. We should have this creator or that creator or whatever else. You have all these decisions that you're trying to do in comics, but if you have one decision, if you have kind of one option that says, at the end of the day, we want the numbers, the finances, the information from the CFO, whatever else. That's going to be our baseline, our barometer, where we can experiment. For 10%, we can put 10% of the money at risk. But at the end of the day, we're going to lean back on financials as how we steer the business. And I think that's the right thing to do. I think it's a smart thing to do. Granted, it does mean that there are some comics out there, some stories that will never be made because they're considered too risky. And that we'll lose as readers, as fans, we'll lose probably some great art, great stories that don't get tried because the major corporation is not going to take a risk to mess with the money. And that's a shame. And it's bad. To me, that's what the indies are for. It's what crowdfunding is for. Those risks could be taken there. But yeah, I mean, if you're relying on finances, you're relying on kind of at the end of the day where the dollars are coming from. It does mean that you're not going to kill off Wolverine and replace him with a African American handicapped girl and call that Wolverine. You're not going to do that because financially that would be a disaster. So, maybe there is an amazing story out there with a handicapped Wolverine. It could be. And like the best comic you've ever read. Maybe we'll never get it because financially it would be asinine. Except, and here's where I feel like I missed the plot or I woke up from some big sleep and the world's changed. I didn't realize it. I think that is how the big companies are working. I don't think they are gearing their strategies and their business from a financial standpoint. I think by and large they're gearing it from a who knows. Half the time it feels like an asleep at the wheel standpoint. It feels like it's people kind of making stuff up as they go, and it's like I'm too tired or busy or lazy to really care about this story. So fuck it. Let's just I don't know. I saw a Netflix show where there was an Irish version of somebody who looked kind of like the Punisher. Let's give it a shot. Fuck it. I mean that's how it feels. It does not feel like it's financially based. So help me out a little bit in the comments. Like I think you can't run your business completely from cold hard numbers. Like I said, you have to take risks and you have to try different things. But I do think if that is the base, if that is your platform from which you invent and experiment off of, that's healthy. That's how you grow market. That's, you know, rely on the financials, experiment the margins. That's how businesses get run. It's actually the business logic for 100 years or more. How is that wrong? Anyway, I say all this, so that's the bias of where I'm coming from for a lot of this stuff. Are there people at Marvel who I think are lousy human beings? Yeah, David Gabriel springs to mind. There are others. Spinny. I want them to be rich and reported and successful. I don't really care. I don't have to see them. They don't live next to me, so I don't really care what happens. I do more or less prescribe the idea of nice things should happen to nice people and bad things should happen to bad people. Sure, totally. Um, but at the end of the day, it's that's a kind of a not my circus, not my monkeys kind of thing. I would hope that if people were filled with integrity, going good decisions, ultimately rise to the top. But anyone who's worked in any kind of corporate world knows that's not the case. And or sometimes it's the case, but it's not guaranteed. And I want these companies to be successful mainly because I like their characters. I know for several people they black-pilled into I just want them to die because they've hurt me, and I'm not dismissing that, but it doesn't. I can't live like that personally. I care about these characters. I grew up with these characters. I want them to be successful, and so I will hope for their success. I'm not going to mindlessly, like a trained seal, clap every dumbass move they make. Because one, my hands will get tired, and two, though, what good does that do? If you take it to its conclusion, cheering on a company that's committing slow suicide is basically not putting in front of them the need to change. I think these companies need to change. They need to make some different decisions. Uh, Easy enough, right? I mean, it's that black and white. You need to make some better decisions. You need to do some things. Talking about that and saying, here's some better decisions I consider you make. Here's what I think you should do. That's how I choose to engage in this hobby. Everybody has a different method. Maybe your way to engage with it is say, fuck you all, burn it down. I never want to see you again. Cool. But that's not where I'm at. That's where you're at. Cool. I don't think where I'm at is a shill. A shill is somebody who's going to go, oh my God, this is so great. I love everything you're doing. This is so amazing. Oh, is it terrible? I don't care. I just, I would like to get that butt pat next time I'm in, the next like WonderCon from CB. He gives one hell of a good butt pat. He does a pat and a little rub at the end. It's like, that's a shill. I don't need to get that in the butt by CB. Thanks for listening.